Hello, kids. It's Mr. Fry again. This is another presentation for all the Bobcats and the Stingrays. And what the topic is going to be, what we're starting with here, is food. Food. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about different kinds of food that we could eat. Well, actually, one particular location that we get food from. I'll put it that way. We could be talking about food like fish. Yes, we all like to eat fish. We could be talking about fruit. We could be talking about vegetables. We're talking about meat. We could even be talking about cheeses and dairy products and things like that, or even grains down here in the corner. But what I'm talking about is food that we get from under the ground. That's right. Stuff we got to dig out from the dirt and then we clean it up. And most of these foods that we get from the dirt come in the form of roots. They are the roots of the plants that have been cultivated by human beings to make them more edible for us, and in many cases, very, very, very nutritious for us. Uh, what we're going to look at first, a first very, very common root, which I'm sure pretty much I think all of you have probably eaten, is this one here. It might not look too familiar. This is its wild variety, but after a while, humans got the hold of it and started growing only the ones that would get really big and bulky and hold lots of nutrients, and they started looking like this. Yes, they are carrots. Carrots are actually roots. As you can see, it's one large root with other pieces coming off to either side. And as we cultivate them, we seem to like the color orange. That comes from I guess, a vitamin inside called beta carotene, also known as vitamin A, and that gives an orange color. Um, but really, these days we've realized that, they don't have to be orange. We can have many different colors of carrots. And yes, the nutrients can change depending on what the colors are. So there we go. Carrots don't have to be orange, but they are delicious. The next one we're going to look at, a very familiar one for you all too. There under the ground are potatoes. Yes, delicious potatoes. If any of you had a speech from Gigi, you would know that potatoes originated in Peru and have made around the world simply because they're easy to grow. They grow quickly and they're very, very, very nutritious. And like the carrots, they aren't just what you think they are. They're russet potatoes, and in the middle there is what many of us eat. But as you can see, there are many different kinds of potatoes out there. And yes, like the carrots, their nutrients can vary depending on what color they are. Look, they even have purple and blue ones. Yeah, I haven't seen those in the supermarket very often, but I would give it a try for sure. So we had potatoes. We can explore a few more root vegetables here. We have radishes here, quite popular in salads. We have beets. Oh, yes. It's the one root vegetable that makes DJs very clumsy because they're always dropping the beat. We have sweet potatoes, another version of potatoes and one of my favorites, so I had to throw that one in there. Onions. Onions come from the ground. And here's one that not many people know about, garlic. Garlic comes from in the ground as well. So when you're eating garlic, kids, it's delicious and it is a root. All right. So these things are delicious and they all come from the ground. And yes, nom nom. Are there any other weird ones out there? Hmm. Here's one you might not have heard of very often. This one you might have heard of, but I don't see it being used very much, is a turnip. You never know where they could turn up, but in this case, some people have them, some people don't. A lotus root is what this one is. And lotus roots look really cool. And if you slice them up, they have those holes in it and they really look neat on a plate. And of course, mandrake. No, not mandrake. But the last one I've got for you is a really, really interesting one. It is, its family, people often think it's a fruit because the family people refer to is a fruit, but it is actually considered a root vegetable. It is well, can you tell with that one right there? What about this one here? That's right. Peanuts are the weird ones because technically speaking, nuts are fruits. They are the seed of a plant in a hard shell. And so people say peanuts are the only fruit that lives in the ground, but they're not nuts. They're considered legumes in the family of beans. So they are therefore considered a vegetable. And it is called a peanut because, yes, they look like nuts and they are the size of peas. Go figure. That's the weird one. But yes, when you're eating your peanut butter, you're actually eating the roots of a plant. So there you go. What I would like you to do is I want you to maybe go through this one more time, write down what some of the root vegetables are, or unless you know them in your head. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to print out or write out 3 recipes that each one has at least one root vegetable in it, or one recipe that has 3 root vegetables in it. That is your follow-up work. Find something, maybe your mom or your dad has a favorite recipe that has root vegetables. Write it out and send it to us. And that is your follow-up work. So thank you very much for listening to this. And hopefully I've explained everything to you. And the whole presentation got us down to the root of the problem. Thank you very much and take care, guys. Mr. Fry saying goodbye.